what's going on, everyone? Before we get into our conversation, I want to let you know this podcast is sponsored by BetRivers.com. BetRivers.com, the best place for all your sports gambling needs. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can also watch all of these episodes on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. Now, let's get into our conversation. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric Devendorf, your host of the Scores Table podcast. This guest that we have on today is another big-time shooter. Last podcast we had on Coach Swider, one of the best shooters to come through Syracuse. This guy right here might be even better shooter. He has the record for most threes in the season. He broke the legendary Jerry McNamara's record while GMAC was coaching him in his graduate season at Syracuse. So it's a pleasure to have my guy on, Andrew White. Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me. He always good to get with you, man. I've been waiting for my invite.
Oh, you already know it. And I tell you what, you a gentleman's gentleman. I tell you what, it's not a nicer guy, on and off the court than you, bro. So, shout out to you, and I just appreciate you coming on, no doubt.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate it.
So just kind of, I guess, update everyone with what's going on with you. I know you said you still playing the waiting game for overseas. So kind of, give everyone a look about what's been going on and how you've been keeping in shape.
Yeah, I've been in Virginia for most of the fall, just working out, waiting for that next opportunity, trying to figure out, where I'll be next. But I always stay in shape year round, always doing my skill work, training, conditioning. So, I'm ready to play, just making sure that this next move is the right opportunity and the right timing. But that overseas thing, you can get over there, and if stuff doesn't align right, it's hard to really propel yourself. So this time I'm trying to make sure that everything on and off the floor works so that I can get in there, do what I need to do, and keep climbing that ladder of that overseas world.
That's a fact. The situation has to be right. You don't want to go across the world and end up being in a messed up situation. So that's a fact. Patience.
Right. So the political climate just so crazy. A lot of places, a lot of things going on in the world. Just a lot going on. So just got to make sure you're safe, healthy. Financially, stuff is working right. Just a lot of layers, and you know that as much as anybody.
Yeah, no doubt. So, bro, let's start. Back in Richmond, I guess. You growing up. How you started playing ball, kind of tell us about, that journey and how it started and who really put the ball in your hands.
Yeah, so my dad put the basketball in my hands. He played Petersburg High School, legendary high school out here. He went to play at Morehouse College in Atlanta. And when I was growing up as a kid, tallest guy on the team, just a natural athlete at that rec church league level. And I started taking it seriously at about ninth grade is when I really just kind of sat down and decided, like, this is what I want to do. I want to play college basketball. I want to play D1. And from that point forward, go to school, do my thing. And then we were in rec centers. We were paying janitors to get in schools late night and all that. And my dad and I just worked at it. And I was lucky because early on, he was all about the jump shot, and he said, this is what can always have you ahead of the curve. You have to have a skill that translates to the next level. And at that time, it was JV, which would translate over to varsity, and then varsity over to, high level prep school ball, and then AAU. So I always knew in the back of my mind that shooting skill set, if I did that at a grade level, I could always get to that next level. And it worked, started taking it seriously. And that thought kind of drove my decisions in terms of, AAU programs. And one of the hardest decisions was leaving home public school to going to a private school out 2 hours away from my house and doing the boarding school thing and living there and, only coming home on the weekends. So just a lot of that started at about that ninth grade mark where I just decided this is what I want to do. I want to play Division I basketball and go from there.
So okay, so from what it sounds like, I guess ninth, like you said, ninth grade is really when you realize you're pretty good at it and you could do something with it. I guess from then on, talk about when the recruiting process really started to get heavy, when people started to take notice of you, and how was that for you going forward when you start getting those schools looking at you? Now it's a whole nother level of, I
Right.
guess, pressure, when you're playing.
Yeah. I mean, back up a little bit even further than that, ninth and eighth grade, I wasn't, one of the guys. My eighth grade team, I got cut, didn't try out sixth grade, seventh grade, got cut, eighth grade, made the team. I was a third string point guard. Most points I scored my eighth grade year was 5, 2 buckets. Ninth grade, made the JV team, didn't play that much. It wasn't until the Christmas tournament, my ninth grade year on JV, I had a teammate, Cato Campbell, shout out to him. He started over me. He missed the game in the Christmas tournament. Before that, I'm on the bench, no time. He missed the tournament. I started. And from that point forward, took off. So I went from not playing halfway through my ninth grade JV season to averaging about 16, getting pulled up to varsity that year. So it's like we're talking ninth grade, we're talking late ninth grade. I'm still not even close to the mix. You know what I'm saying? And that's so did that, played varsity my 10th grade year. Like now I got it rolling a little bit. Like, D1 schools are coming to my games and stuff like that. Your local stuff, mid-major, CA, Old Dominion, George Mason, VMI, James Madison, schools on that level, good schools that are local. And I used to watch teams like yourself, those big programs, the ESPN games. I was like, man, I want to be on the highest level. I want to be here where the stands are packed. People are talking about it. Like that's the level that I want to be on. And I ended up going from an AAU guy with one of the top mid-major guys around to like, all right, what can I do differently to get myself on that map? So that's when I made the jump to private school, boarding school, jumped AAU programs, went with Team Loaded out of Virginia. And then I got on that circuit and that's when it took off. That's when your big dogs came calling. And the recruiting process was so fun because it was self-earned. Because like I said, I wasn't an early prodigy. I wasn't ranked early. So I used to go to all the camps, a lot of stuff in North Carolina. My dad would drive, we drive through the night and everywhere we go, we were just climbing up that ladder, knocking guys off. And that's how we went about it, just a real ground level approach. Like being recruited wasn't enough, high D1 wasn't enough. Like I just wanted to be at the highest level possible. So I give, Miller School in Charlottesville, my boarding school, and I give Team Loaded, my AAU program, a lot of credit for that.
So go back a little bit because you said in eighth grade you only scored 5 points. You said, or 5 buckets, right?
Yeah, that was my high, man. I was a regular pedestrian, man. And we're talking about normally 8th, 9th grade, like,
Right.
all right, this guy can make some noise. You playing a little travel ball, you can kind of see who's coming into their own. In 8th, 9th grade, I was a regular,
So in between that 8th and 9th, and I guess like the end of 9th going into 10th, what were you doing in between that time to really like put yourself at that level to where, like you said, it was next man up. Your guy got hurt or he couldn't play, and then that gave you an opportunity to go ahead and showcase what you could really do. But what did you do in between that time, to prepare you for that moment and that opportunity when you got it?
Yeah, it all started with a decision. Like I said, I sat down and my dad talked a lot of basketball. That's kind of that parenting age, I would assume, where it's like you don't want to push kids too hard. You kind of want to gauge their interest and see if that's something they really want to pursue. So I guess, when I talked to my dad and said, hey, this is what I want to do, he was like, all right, well, let's go get seriously. First of all, we got to work like somebody at the next level. So school's over, late night, 8 o'clock, when the YMCA, all the kids going home, stuff like that. When we can get a court to ourselves, we're going to come in here and we're really going to work at it. We're not just going to play. We're not just going to mess around, shoot. Like, we're really going to do this thing. And this revolves around the jump shot. So if you shoot at a high level, you can go wherever you want to go because everybody's dribbling. Everybody has their cones out. Everybody's doing this stuff with no structure. How many pure shooters do you know of? And it really made me discipline myself in terms of working, because you see a lot of work ethic, but a lot of people don't get the right instruction. You just don't know what to do. Running around sometimes doesn't get it. 100%. So, I mean, my dad just used to break me down and it would just be mechanical work, sometimes 10 feet away from the rim. And I'd be there shooting all night, and like I said, just a decision. I said, I want to go play D1 ball. Good start would be outworking everybody in my district, then my region, then my state, then the country. And then when you get in front of them people, you got to believe that, you're the guy. You got to have that alpha mentality. You can be nice, you can be respectful, you can do all that. But when you get out there, you got to understand that it's not enough for everybody to get what they want. How are you going to go about that? And how are you going to do that where you're still making teams win, making it about yourself, but putting winning before yourself. That's hard to balance when you're at camps and stuff. And you know how that goes, everybody trying to get it.
Yeah. Tim definitely got to clip that up, what you just said, because going back to what you said, a decision, making a choice, right? And like for young kids nowadays, you make it sound so simple, right? So easy. But we all know that it's difficult. Like because now with that decision comes sacrifice, dedication, discipline, consistency of doing it every single day. Like you said, after school when nobody's watching. And a lot of kids, I think they don't really understand that. And I mean, you're just a prime example of, like you said, in 8th grade, you weren't even playing. You weren't even scoring the ball. You were just learning how to play. And then a year later or a year and a half later, now you're getting opportunity to average 16 on JV and then eventually get moved up to varsity just because of that one decision that you made to go ahead and lock in. And man, it's good stuff, bro, because I don't think a lot of kids really understand the what's the word I'm looking for? The simplicity of that decision, right? But again, so hard to do.
Right. Now, and granted, I had some size. I was a decent athlete. Like, I had some stuff going for me, like a lot of guys, you can work hard to play at that ACC Big Ten level. That's tough. But when you're talking about early high school, man, you can draw a line in the sand and be like, look, I'm going to be the best guy around here, because a lot of people at that age don't know what real work looks like. And now there's so many resources out there. Like, when we were growing up, we just worked hard. We didn't know anything about anything. The trainers and stuff that you have at your disposal today, the Instagram, logging into the apps and getting workout programs. You just didn't have any of that. Right. So you would work and you would be in there. I'm sure you had people you grew up with that were crazy, had you running miles and weight vests and running hills and all. You don't know any better. You just know this is tough. And now it's so much easier because you have people that actually have played some ball and who are dropping that knowledge off. So for me, just draw a line in the sand and be like, listen, no more. And you got to put that sacrifice in. And then when you do that, you got to be like, all right, man, like I'm here, or like I jumped to this school, or I changed AAU program, or I did this. Like, I'm going to get something out of this, period, because you can do it at that level. When you get to pros, sometimes it's not in your hands. You can work as hard as you want. It's not as simple as I'm going to just outwork everybody and that's that. There's political agendas. Money is involved. Yep. Families. Like, there's a lot of agendas. It's a little harder when you get to that pro level. When you're young, you decide, hey, I'm outworking everybody. Really hard to be stopped,
No doubt. And for the pro level, like you said, that's a whole nother thing. Like you're dealing with a lot of things out of your hands.
Right.
To be able to get yourself to like at least play college ball at any level, 1, 2, or 3, JUCO,
Right.
whatever it is, everything that you just said, it comes down to what is your mindset like? You know what I'm saying? Do you really want to
Right.
do it? You know, are you going to attack it every single day? And if not, then shit, you probably ain't gonna make it. That's just how it goes, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
What's crazy about this thing now is like for us, if we wanted to provide for our families, you had to get to that pro level. You know what I'm saying? No money is coming from college. Like you one of the best players to come out of Syracuse. Like you're a walking brand, you know what I'm saying? But what could you really get out of it? Now you don't have to be one of the top 400 in the NBA. A really good college player, you could not play a lick after college and live a great life because now those people, you know, the boosters and all that, they got strict order to stay away from us and we got strict order to stay away from them. So if you don't get anything on that pro end, you can be the greatest college player in the world. It's hard to really capitalize on that. Now, you know, the way that they paying these guys, man, you could come out of there with a couple hundred.
yeah,
You
no
know,
doubt.
22 years old with a couple hundred in the bank. You don't have to hoop another day if you put that money aside right. So, like, don't worry about the pros. Like I tell everybody now, put the work in, go play college basketball for free, and be a really, really good college player. And that'll get you really far.
Yeah, bro, the game has definitely changed. And
Dang,
obviously the
man.
goal is still to, you know, you want to be able to play pro because even, you know, if it's not NBA, D League, whatever it is overseas, those experiences are once in a lifetime to be able to travel the world and, you know, meet people in different
Right.
cultures and experience that type of basketball. But, you know, at the same time, now, like you said, I mean, these kids could set themselves. I mean, I've seen kids not even, you know, not even in college yet getting $1 million deals. The kid from Memphis got $1 million deal.
$1 million deals.
You know what I
$1
mean? So
million deals. Crazy.
they're really set if they're smart and have the, you know, right supporting cast around them. But
Right.
I mean, that's just how it goes. That's how the game is now, bro. So
Right. Right.
we were too I guess we were late, but it's all
Man, few years. I'm a couple years late to everything, man.
yeah, no doubt. So, bro, I want to talk about as you know got later into your high school career. We talked about the recruiting process picking up. We know you ended up choosing Kansas. So, kind of talk about that initial decision about choosing Kansas and going there, and how that you felt like that was a fit at first for you.
Yeah, so Kansas, obviously, you know what they are, you know. And when I was doing the recruiting thing, I was recruited by everybody, you know. And what I liked about Kansas was at that time, they were like the top 4-year program, 3-4 year program out there, you know, like your Dukes, your Kentuckys, teams like that. They were kind of a couple years early in the one and done. You know what I'm saying? Like Kansas, the year I was committed there, my senior year, they went to the Final Four with all upperclassmen in their lineup, you know, which is something that you don't see near as much now. So I was like, this is a 3-4 year program because I didn't anticipate being a one and done or anything like that. Like, where can I go where for 4 years I can win? And you see these guys developing where you have upperclassmen who are running the show, you
Right.
know. And my freshman year, Ben McLemore, he was freshman. He ended up being the 7th pick. My following year, Andrew Wiggins, #1 recruit, #1 pick. Joel Embiid was on that team, #3 pick. Tariq Black spent some time for the Lakers in the Euro League right now.
Yep.
Wayne Selden, NBA, top level overseas. So my sophomore year, we had 7 guys that touched the NBA. You know, so now you're talking about one and done type talent. And I remember you go out to practice, you might have 12, 13 NBA teams there. So the dynamic changes when you get that level of recruit. One, because these guys are ready right away. And then the NBA is right in the gym, you know. So when I got there, I competed. I believed that I could play. I did well, but if Andrew Wiggins there, is there, he's going to be on the floor. If Ben McLemore is there, he's going to be on the floor. Joel Embiid, he's going to be on the floor. Frank Mason, consensus National Player of the Year, he was there. I grew up with him. He was there my sophomore year. So you're just talking about the level of talent. I was a top 40 recruit. Now we're talking about straight 5 stars walking in the door. So I get in here and I'm like, man, this is tough to defeat right there. And you go back to your instincts, like coming up, I'm like, man, I'm gonna just outwork these dudes. And that take you far, but it's like, man, when you got Wiggins across from you, man, it's just those boys can just do stuff that is one of one type stuff. So, we won, got a couple rings out of it. I did well. I had some moments, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I want to be one of the guys that's partially responsible for winning at this high level. So I had great relationships there. I feel like I got a lot of respect from the players, but just, on looking, it's like, man, I got to get out here, So going into my junior year, now Kelly Oubre is coming, and they had another couple guys, big class. So I sat down with the coach. I basically told him, like, Coach Bill Self, love him, great coach, and I was like, listen, you see what I am, you see what I bring every day, you see what I'm capable of, how do you see this? How do you see this thing? Because they have insight, obviously things can change, but, they know what's up. And he said, listen, man, we got these guys coming in, coin flip chance, but I don't know, man, we got some talent coming in. And I respect the fact that he told me and, let me know honestly and, got up on out of there. But that experience, like, to say I played at Kansas, won a couple rings, been around some great pros, been around such an elite program, like it was a great experience for me, just in terms of saying that I was a part of that.
Yeah, I guess what did you learn from that experience? Because, despite maybe not getting the playing time that you wanted, what did you learn from, being around all those pros, being around, Bill Self, and then, eventually taking that to Nebraska, where you had a great you were there for a season, I believe, at Nebraska, right?
Yeah, one season, a redshirt year, and played for one.
Exactly, average about 17 points at Nebraska. So, talk about the experience at Kansas and how that really helped you propel your career at Nebraska and then eventually Cuse.
Yeah, I think starting my college career being coached by Bill Self, it teaches you a lot because you learn how detailed the game is. Like, great coach, watched a lot of film, and then I had a lot of talent and veteran talent around me, played with some guys off that national runner-up team, Travis Rutherford, Elijah Johnson, Jeff Withey, like these guys just know how to play. And my big takeaway from that is how sharp you have to be every day, because when it's 5 or 6 pros in the gym every day that you're practicing, it's a war in there every day. We had practice where no fouls, so he just encouraged physicality. He encouraged challenge. And now your first 5 and your second 5 in practice is harder than anything that you'll see in a game. And then the pressure to perform, because let's see, my freshman year, we were going for the 9th straight Big 12 championship. And my sophomore year, we were going for the 10th. So you're not talking about making a tournament or making a run. You're talking about now a major streak is on the line. When your coach has more conference championships and home losses, the pressure's on. It's like, you got to perform. So it's just, that's my big takeaway, is like performing under pressure. Like, there's no pressure like it. And you enjoy that because you're expected to win and people care about it so much.
So talk about that year at Nebraska, sitting out, kind of getting familiar with the campus, getting familiar with the coaches and the team. And then that next year, getting to play. And then, like we talked about, averaging 16, 17 points a game. How was that feeling being able to, go out there and perform at the level that you really knew you're able to perform at? And at Kansas, you're not really getting that opportunity. So, eventually in Nebraska, when it happened, what was that like?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that redshirt year because a lot of people can get lost. When you're not playing, there's not too much pressure on you in terms of coming in here, earning my spot. Like, you're on the shelf for a whole year. So it really takes a lot of discipline to approach that the right way, and I think my advantage in that was I don't have any excuse not to be in here working so much harder than everybody else, because when you're playing in a college season like yourself, you play big minutes, you prepare, but a lot of that goes into being your best on game day. You can't be pedal to the metal every single day, because you want to make sure that you go into that game fresh. You don't want to be sore. You want to make sure that you're ready. So me, game day, I'm working out. Day after games, I'm working out. I can lift heavier. I can do more. I can spend more time on mobility. Like, all you have to worry about is yourself and making sure that you're getting yourself ready to actually play. So the redshirt year was tough, but hey, just work on it. Just give 1 year, give everything, and you look up and it's time to play. So it prepared me a lot, because the Big Ten, that's a rugged league. Like, you have your skill, but your bigs are so much bigger than any conference. Your styles are so much more unique. I feel like ACC is a lot of up and down athletes, high level of skill, fast pace. Big Ten, you have so many different styles. Michigan State and Michigan, they're getting up and down. Then Purdue, you got 3 7-footers out there. Wisconsin has had a swing, old school offense where you got to defend the whole shot clock. Like, you see so many different styles, and you got to adjust your game so much night to night that, that redshirt year really helped me, because I was ready for whatever, so to get all Big Ten there and get that experience, great school, great fan base, like the resources and the facilities are out of this world. We were an okay team, average, competitive, but could have done better. But all in all, it was a good experience for me.
And then fast forward, going from Nebraska to Cuse, what really, I guess, attracted you about coming to Cuse, and what really went into that decision? Because like we said, you had a great year in Nebraska. I guess, so what went in that decision to want to transfer again and go to Syracuse?
Yeah, so when I came out of Nebraska, had a good year on the court academically, and I graduated, really far from home, just a fresh start. Like, a lot of times you graduate, you're ready to move on to the next thing. And so put my name out there, and it was crazy because a grad transfer is pretty much the only situation where you're instantly eligible. Like, there's always a catch, and this recruiting and getting players is always a catch. They're either young and not ready, or, got a city year and all that. So I said, I'm going to get out here and, I want to get something new. And the recruiting was just crazy because, you're talking 17-6 coming out of the Big Ten. Who doesn't want that? You know what I'm saying? So my first call on Syracuse was Michael Benajay, not even the coaches. So
because Mike's from Richmond too.
Yeah. So Benajay lived probably 10 minutes. Him and I grew up probably 10 minutes apart, So right after the Final Four, Mike get drafted. He's down in Detroit. I guess Coach Autry called him because he was my primary recruiter in the whole situation. So, I get a call from Mike, and he's like, hey, man, you need to go to Syracuse. You think that boys are just talking. Right. And I'm like, man, I'd probably go to Syracuse today. Like, the boys just went to the Final Four. Malachi, Tyler, Mike, all them boys. I'm like, man, this the Cuse. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking of all them teams back in the day. Like, I was a Big East fan. and I know it's changed a lot. That's a separate discussion, but I'm like, man, this is Syracuse. Like, I grew up on the Big East more so than the ACC, despite living in ACC country. So I'm like, man, I'd almost be there. Like, what are you saying? So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my coach to call you. I'm like, man, tell him to call me right now. So Coach Autry calls me, and he just basically, telling me everything about Syracuse. We want you to come down here and this and that. And I'm like, it's not a whole lot I need to be sold on, because that's just one of those just one of those programs that like you always follow. So it was funny just because, normally somebody coming out of their grad transfer, they already know where they're going, this and that. I'm like, no, this is new to me. I don't have any leads, let's set up the visit. And I went down there, and I loved it. I think it was kind of a weird part of the year because the players weren't there. It was the weather was bad. And I just told Coach Autry, I said, listen, I'm trying to get to that next level. Like, this is the stage that I want to be back on, And I tell you what, on the visit, I'm like, listen, set me up with a workout, get a couple of your people here, like put me on the floor. I want you to see me like up close right now. I want to make sure that, you see the tape and all that. I want to make sure that what you're getting is what you want. Because when I come in here, like, I'm trying to be a big piece of this thing, And so I worked out, had a great visit, and, I played out the recruiting process. I ended up, Coach was at the Olympics that summer. Coach was at the Olympics. So he was calling me from the Olympics. And I'll never forget, this is when I was like, man, that Syracuse is going to be a tough out. He was like, hey, this is Coach. I'm at the Olympics watching Melo, whoever playing. Man, you can take your visits. I got 500 shots waiting for you. I don't think anybody in the country got that for you. So you go have your visits. I'm not worried about it too much. Just call me if you need me, right? So shortly after that, I'm like, man, this is Coach Boeheim, like, selling the dream. Like, is this too good to be true? So kept doing the recruiting process. And it actually wasn't until I got to Cuse when I was supposed to report that I officially committed, signed, and did all that. So my dad and we packed the car up. I'm like, man, I can't, this is too good to be true, man. These boys right off the Final Four, we ranked kind of high going into the year, packed up the car like I was going to Syracuse, was like laying super low. And we went to meet with Coach one more time. We were like, just like, let me know how you really see this thing, like looking him eye to eye. And I can tell you, he didn't lie to me one drop, so I committed there, did all the paperwork. And the next day he was like, hey, this is film. And I walked in, kind of hey, this is what we're going to do this year, go to class, don't get in trouble, this and that. Hey, by the way, this is a new player, Andrew White. Like, man, I got there the night before classes started and hit the ground running.
I remember, bro, because I was on staff that year, and I remember coaches like, we're trying to get Andrew up here. I don't know what's going on, because you said, you came in like the day of school. But I mean, we all knew you came in, bro. Like you were at the stage in your career where, you weren't looking for a school to go for with the beaches and the nice weather or the girls or the parties. You were ready to go handle your business on that floor. And let's be honest, if a coach tells you as a shooter, you're going to get 500 shots in the season, that's all you need to hear. Green light, nothing else. So, no, that was a good decision on your part. I think a great decision. And the fit was it was already there, bro. It was there. And let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about, the season that you had that year. You averaged almost 20 points a game. Obviously, from a team standpoint, it was a lot of ups and downs. Looking back, you probably would have wanted to have a better year as a team, but individually, bro, I mean, you couldn't really get much better than what you had. I mean, we talked about in the beginning, you broke the all-time record for most threes in the season by GMAC, which stood for a long time. You averaged almost 20. I mean, you shot the ball at a high clip. Yeah, talk about that overall experience, being able to play in front of the, in the dome in front of the, 25,000, 30,000. And then just the way you played, it was kind of like the cherry on top of it. Just talk about your overall experience.
Yeah, so as far as that experience, like you said, I have a coach, I have a whole staff who is kind of in unison saying the same thing. What I need to do, especially since I'm coming in the day of fall classes after these guys have been here all summer thinking that their team is what it is, I have to come in from day one and win over the locker room because these guys don't know me. They don't know what I'm about. Like, who's this kid to just roll in, the day of fall classes and think he's the guy, like, because that's how I would have thought. So that's why while I was doing the whole recruiting process, I was home like, all right, at some point I'm going to go in here late trying to be in the mix. Like, I have to be head and shoulders on top of my game because the way that you win over a locker room is obviously act the right way, respect your teammates, do all that. But you got to come and put your foot down the first day because these guys don't know you. Like Tyus came in as a 5-star player at my position. Tyler Lydon was projected lottery. Tyler Robertson was on the boards. Frank was supposed to be the point guard returning from the Final Four team. Like, you had a lot of carryover and a lot of expectation, and I'm just getting thrown into the mix. So that fueled me. John was there, and he ended up taking over the reins. Like, we had a lot going on, so it's like, you got to come in here and you got to be making known, like, this is who I am, and this is what's going on. So that's what ultimately like made me sharp. And I just wanted to build momentum, and a big motivation for me is like, I'm at Syracuse, like I'm back on this stage. We were projected really high that year. I'm like, I want to be one of the 1-year Syracuse greats, but winning is the only thing that would supply that. And that's the tough thing about it. Obviously, historic season, played great from start of the year to the end of the year, had a lot of things that I did there that hadn't been done. The issue is if you don't win, it's not the same, so I definitely value the experience, but I wish, obviously you get older, I wish that I would have had a little more premium on leadership, because leading by example doesn't get it anymore. You got to bring guys along. You got to talk to people. You got to communicate. You can work as hard as you want to. Like, when you're, one of the big names on that team, you got to bring folks with you. If you go to the gym, bring somebody with you. Reach out to guy, so that's where I wish I could have been better, because what I love about Coach Boeheim is he's going to put structure in place, but he's not making it all about him. Hey, here's some stuff that you should do. Player directed program. You know what I'm saying? Roll the balls out. Y'all are players, y'all make it what y'all want to be, and we just didn't have that leadership. And if you look around, who is a prime candidate to be? That'd probably be myself, So that's something you learn over time. But like I said, like, great year. Had a lot of guys looked out for me, really got to shoot, and I really put a pride on like being efficient. Like, yeah, you got a green light, but we're not just gonna come out here jacking playing bad ball. Like, we trying to win something and we all trying to go somewhere. Like, let's be efficient. Like, let's approach this thing the right way.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Coach Boeheim, what was that like, playing for a Hall of Famer? I mean, we all know how, Coach is a straight shooter. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just going to tell it like it is.
Right.
He's not going to sugarcoat anything. So what was that experience like, playing for Coach Boeheim?
Right. I hear the guys come up here and, they tell the funny stories and this and that, like the maturation process from like freshman year to senior year and how you got their trust. It was a little different for me, because I came in and like played at a high level. I was a no nonsense guy, like showed up 2 hours early, stayed 2 hours late. Like, I was tight when I got there. So Usually like I got in, what I loved about him is early on, he said, listen, I mean, you don't look over your shoulder for nothing. If I got a problem with you, if I got something I need to tell you, like I'll chime you in and let you know. But go shoot that ball. Look, we got size, we got rebounding, we got guys that do this. Go be a great player. That's the only time that he would get on me or ever say anything. Very seldom would he say much. Like, listen, man, I brought you in here to be the best scorer in the league. Go be that. Like I had a little bit of a conscience because I wanted to be efficient. I was never a gunner. So only time he'd be like, listen, I need you to shoot more. Like, you can't score on this guy. Like, you can't do this. You can't do that. Like, don't look over here. Like, go get it, And that's what I loved about Coach, man. He just sat down and just let me do what I do.
Yeah, that's one thing about Coach. He definitely gonna let players play. He gonna let them play through mistakes. And one thing though, he does have to see that you have that mindset, that tough mentality, to where you're not going to let that bother you when he does get on you or when he does say what he says. You know what I mean? If he sees that you can handle it and you can play through it, he's definitely going to let you just do your thing. Talk about, bro, your most
right. Yeah, I mean it's hard to get. It's my fault.
No, go ahead, bro. My fault.
Go ahead. Oh,
no,
I was just saying, like, obviously, like Syracuse is a big program like that, but it's like, man, I always feel like, man, if you can't play at Cuse, you can't play, man, because some places you go, you got to know 50 plays. You got to know 10 coverages on defense. You got to be in there lifting at 5 a.m. You sprinting, your practices are 4 hours long. Like, people that haven't been a lot of places, I've been a lot of places and I've seen a lot. You don't get to just go in there in the afternoon. You got a very structured 2-hour practice, no foolishness, nothing crazy, basketball, and guys always think the grass is greener. I'm like, man, if you can't play for Coach, he's tough on you because he doesn't like bad players. If it's one thing Coach don't like is bad players. But if you can't play at Syracuse for Coach Boeheim, man, you can't play because he's going to roll the ball out, give you a couple plays. This is what I expect from you. Go make it do what it do. Like, what more can you ask for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, man, that's 100%. Like we probably have like 4 plays, double fist, curls, 1 play, 2 play, and then he'll do like, a little wheel or whatever.
Right.
That's like a continuation off of the double fist. But like you
Right.
said,
Yeah.
he gonna let you just play your game. Like that's the most freedom you really ever gonna have. But on the other hand, bro, a lot of guys can't handle that much freedom. You know what I mean? Like some guys need that that structure and that somebody to be like, hey, you need to be here, you need to be here. But I mean, I guess he's setting you up for pro life too. You know what I mean? Because when you get to the NBA, I mean, and we'll talk about that in a second. These guys are not babysitting you at that level. They have families, they have children, they're there and then they're gone. You're expected to do what you're supposed to do and get the job done. So speaking on it like that, like Coach Boeheim prepares you, for what lies ahead. And I mean, I love playing for him. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it gave me the opportunity to come in and sit down like Coach Ryan and Brad and, Coach Autry. He was my primary skill coach. What ultimately helped me, I used to tell my dad, and people would ask me, like, how are you maintaining this? How are you playing 40 minutes a night, literally 40 minutes a night, and maintaining this? I'm like, if you're practicing, like, guys can't play them kind of minutes, because I've had those days where it might be a 3-hour practice the day before a game and a tape shoot around. Like, that's tough, no matter how old you are. So it's like, man, I was able to come in and everybody, it wasn't like, this is what we do, get in line. You have to adjust to us. They basically were like, what do you need to be at your best? Like we were on those weights kind of hard in Nebraska because Big Ten was a little more rugged. So I came and I told Coach Ryan, I said, instead of being, swole up strong, I want to get more mobile. I want to get faster feet, and I just want to be in better running shape. So Coach Ryan could have said, hey, 6 o'clock in the morning, this is what we do. We bench, squat, sit up. We do all that. Like, this is what everybody does. This is what you do. He specifies the program to you. So he said, this guy needs to trim down. I did all band work, upper body, and he would have me on that treadmill and that elliptical, doing like some lateral stuff on the treadmill. He'd give me like footwork ladder. We were jumping rope. We were doing stuff, doing a lot of stretches, working on ankle mobility, hip mobility. Before practice, I had the energy to get 30, 40 minutes worth of skill work with Coach Autry every day. So I do this before practice, show up, get 30, 40 minutes of skill practice, take a shower, eat at the gym, come out, get in the hot tub, get with Coach Ryan, do my mobility, work on my hips, do all that. You got an hour and a half practice where he's not killing you. So now the expectation is afterwards, that doesn't mean go an hour and a half and go home, get your skill work in after. Then I'm with Brad, everything like manual therapy. Like I would stretch with Brad every day, every game. So as a result of Coach having a 2-hour window for our actual practice, I was getting 6 hours of work in my day. So that's ultimately what helped me is he set it up like pros. If you're practicing for 3-4 hours, you can show up and that's about all you got in the tank, So I give that staff and all those guys a lot of credit. Every game I pulled up fresh, where some games I used to be like, all right, man, like I got to dig in a little bit today. I'm a little tired. Like my legs are a little heavy. And that's what it is in college. But every game at Cuse, I'm like, man, I'm fresh. I'm ready to roll,
Shout out Ryan over at Cincinnati now. Ryan obviously is still there, but some of the best training staff in the country, no doubt, bro. So obviously you had a great season at Cuse, no doubt. We talked about breaking the single season record for threes, almost averaging 20, super efficient. You set yourself up, bro. We talked about in the beginning, you really just come into your own in the 9th grade. All that hard work from then till, now at Cuse has worked out for you, and you put yourself in position to play pro ball, which is a dream of everyone who grows up playing basketball. They want to put themselves in position. Right. You were able to do that, and eventually, bro, you got that NBA experience. You played with the Hawks, you played with the Celtics, you did the D League and overseas. You played 17 minutes, had 15 points, for the Hawks, which is unbelievable to be able to do that. Especially, we know how the NBA is, bro. You really got to kind of be selfish, because that opportunity doesn't come quite often. So when you got your opportunity, you took advantage of it. Talk about that experience in the pros, playing for the Hawks, playing for the Celtics, and then eventually, taking that overseas to Turkey, and what was the difference between NBA and overseas ball?
Yeah, so just the experience of just playing in the NBA is crazy, especially because the situation that I came out of. When you're on the draft board, drafted super high, go to the league or whatever, like it's a foregone conclusion, like you're in there. I started off in the G League. I signed a partial guarantee with the Celtics, and I played with the Celtics G League. And kind of the same situation going into my 9th grade year. It said, man, I'm not stopping until I get to the league. I had this thing. I was out in Maine looking crazy. I said, I'm not getting a haircut till I get to the league. Like stuff like that. Like just locking in. I said, I gotta get there. Like I'm so close. So I ended up getting signed by the Hawks, maybe really shortly after the G League started. The Hawks signed me, and I suited up for a couple games, didn't play, and we had a few injuries. It was Valentine's Day. We had a few injuries at Detroit, and the coach told me, he said, you might get a couple minutes tonight. So I'm like, man, like that. From that point on, I was sweating crazy, like, because it's like you work your whole life to get somewhere, like it gives you a little anxiety when you get there. You know what I'm saying? Like these boys, this is a every day for him. This is, you living the dream, man. We got to win. So, man, carried on with the game. I'm sitting on the floor because, when you're at the end of the bench, you on the floor, you're not in a seat. It's like 20 people on the sideline. So first quarter, they called me in. And it was a timeout. So I take my warm up in. I'm sitting in the huddle. I'm like shaking, like literally shaking. Like, man, like I'm about to play in the regular season NBA. Blake Griffin's out there, Andre Drummond, Luke Kennard. Like Detroit had some guys. So first play, inbound the ball, run down the court on the left wing. The ball is going to come from the right wing to the top to you on the left wing. We just want you to throw it into the post, right? So inbound it, run down the court. My first possession, I get the ball and like I'm going to throw it to the post to you. I go like that, throw it right to the dude in front of me, my defender. He walks, lays it up. I'm like, because I'm like shaking, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. Throw the ball. First possession, throw the ball right to the defender. He walks and lays it up. So I run back to take it out. I'm like, man, this is bad. Like, I can't even move. I'm so shook. I'm so moved. I can't even move. I can't think. I can't do nothing. I just threw the ball to the other team. Everybody looking at me crazy. And then after that, from the time that I threw the ball inbounds again to the time that I got to our side of the court, which is, length of the court, 5 seconds. I'm like, man, you gotta tighten up, man. Like, that's what you wanted. Like, it's time to get right. And man, I was just able to settle myself in. And I was like, I just need to hit something and I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I snuck in there, got a little cut, got a left hand layup. I'm like, all right, man, I'm here now. And from that point forward, I was like, man, I'm going to believe you the best player on the floor, man. And I did. And that's what I try to do every night. And that's what you got to be in the NBA, because now you're playing against guys that, you idolize a little bit. Like when you're guarding Steph, I had to guard Steph and James and Paul George, Ben Simmons. Like, it's like, man, you can't look up to these dudes because they're looking at you like you're food. You know what I'm saying? Like, They don't care. Yeah, they don't care that you idolize them. They trying to embarrass you. So like, it was a great experience to get out there and, get a lot of games, get a lot of time. We had a team where I was able to get a lot of playing time and, get those experiences. But man, it was just surreal, man. Like, it was such a blur to me that it feels like it was a whole lot longer ago than it was, because you just living like a blur. It's like out of body experience, when it's a place where you shouldn't have been,
Nah, you should have been there though. I mean, you earned that right to be able to get that opportunity, and you took advantage of it. And we all, like you said, bro, we all know the politics, the money, and all that on the side of pro sports. So it's tough, man. But
right.
You could always say that when you got that opportunity, you took advantage of it. You locked in. You have that film with you. I hope you do. I hope you have that film with you, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I got it. I was a little tight because, we had a team where that was a team before Trae Young came in. Mm-hmm. So when I got in the game, we were down like pretty bad, and man, you run off 15 and 17 minutes, in a quarter and a half. Now we in the mix. Like that game, I didn't play in the fourth quarter, and they ended up turning it back on and they blew us out. But we're talking about like, man, boys got out there so hot, I got taken back out the game. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, don't play.
I'm like, man, yeah, I'm like, man, if I could have just got, now that I'm rolling, if I just could have got a fourth quarter out of that thing, man, like that really would have been, because like it's 15 points. Like, oh yeah, that's a great game. Now I'm seeing a lot of first timers get in there, but I'm like, man, we was talking 30 that night, man.
Hey, bro, somebody was in jeopardy of getting you taking a guaranteed spot, messing some some money stuff up in the front office. So you already know how that goes.
Right.
You can't play if you play too good. Now it's gonna mess up what they got going on. So, but you took advantage of that opportunity, bro. We talk about that experience in Turkey, bro. Just the difference between playing over here and then going overseas, and what that was like for you on and off the court.
Right. So now when you talk about overseas, NBA off the floor, you're living like a king. You're eating good, you're getting massages, you have everything at your disposal. When you get overseas, now you're dealing with the language barrier. Now you have to make sure that your living conditions are right. I mean, internet is more valuable than anything in the world over there. If your internet's not going, which is running your phone and all that, like, you're hurting. So now there's so many more parts that go into that overseas experience. And I played in Turkey, which, is a great league. Some of your top teams in Europe. It's really competitive. It's really hard to score. It's high stakes because your bottom two teams get kicked out of the top division. So yeah, there are no easy ones any night. Like, everybody is scrapping. And because you only get 4 Americans for a team over there, for your domestic leagues, it's like there's a lot of players and so few spots. So you really have to bring it, because the way that they play is different. The way that they approach the game is different. Lifestyle is different. How they train, how they practice, everything is different. And it's kind of abnormal to how we do it over here. Like, they feel like they have a system that's different. They embrace the fact that it's different from American ball. So you just have to make sure that, like, in your decisions and all that stuff, like I said, your situation aligns right, because you can get out of the mix so quickly just because it's madness over there. So, Europe is great. And I wish that they would put a little more of that top European ball on over here, because, they're looking at, like, Luka Doncic and seeing what he's doing over here. I think there will be nothing more crazy that Luka Doncic won the EuroLeague, I believe, and was a EuroLeague MVP at like 16, 17.
Exactly.
Like, because you've been over there. Like, what he's doing over here, it's like, that's crazy. But I think a lot of us that played overseas, we're like, what's really crazy is what that man was doing in the EuroLeague at 16. And that's basketball that so few people have exposure to over here.
And I tell you what, bro, it's harder to score over in Europe just because it's more of a half-court game. You get a fast break, they're following you automatically. They're
right.
So it's much more strategic. It's much more like plays involved, and you're going through pick and roll. Like, these guys, like, from an early age over there, especially like you talk about at the EuroLeague level, they're able to read every single position and they know where every guy is on the court. Whereas over here, we're getting away with, just being super fast and super strong, super athletic.
Yeah.
And that gets us to a certain point. But then when you get to the highest level, that's why you start to see these guys from overseas taking spots, because their knowledge of the game is on a whole nother level than these guys who are super athletic and super fast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously the NBA thing is great, but man, you see some of the stuff that's going on in the EuroLeague, and you see how some of these guys are living, and you're seeing how that tax-free money, the NBA can't even afford to bring some of them back. It's great ball. It's great stuff going on. It's a great lifestyle and great exposure, and if you can get used to just living far away and open up your mind to that, like, it's a really great thing if you can get on the right team and get in the right situation.
Yeah, that's key, getting in the right situation and then embracing
the situation.
Yeah, and embracing the experience too, bro, because a lot of, like you said, you have to be open-minded to going over to a new place. And I think, once you're able to do that, it could be better than a lot of people think it could be.
Right, for sure.
Hey, bro, I want to talk a little bit about your Boeheim's Army experience. right? You know,
Uh-huh.
being able to play with you know, Syracuse guys from all different type of eras. Obviously, we got to play together. You got to play with who, you know, guys like CJ Fair, Malachi, Chris McCullough,
Right.
and obviously, you know, the outside guys, DJ Kennedy. So you played a few years. You were on the team that won, you know, won the whole TBT. You know, just talk about the Boeheim experience, what it was like winning it, and then what it was like to be able to play with, you know, all different type of eras of Cuse basketball, and then have your head coach who has coached everyone be there and witness you, you know, winning it.
Yeah, I think that's a crazy experience because I'm trying to squeeze the life out of that Syracuse tie because I got 1 year out of it, and when you play 1 year and you're there 7 months, it's like I was there, I had a great time, but for you as a long timer, like a legend came through it. It's just I feel like what you see and what I see of Syracuse is just different, just given the time that you were there, like the conference change and this and that. So when I get to come back and play with guys from different teams, that's what's really kind of stamped it for me and made me feel like a part of everything, because it goes by so quickly. And to win that thing, it was special because, as you know, that thing is really, really tough to win
Man,
because the way that it's played, the intensity that it's played at is just nothing like it. That's the only thing where there's a dollar amount, a huge dollar amount assigned to a game. So when that ball tips up, all right, it's 1 million, 2 million on the line. It's a different kind of urgency than, oh, you play well. Like it's a different when you play well, you do this, you'll get to the league and this and that. It's like, no, when that ball goes up, you know exactly what's at stake. And the game is so short that it's like you look up, it's the fourth quarter and it's gotten real. So I've just loved being part of those battles, the years where we came up short, the years we won it and all that, because it's just hard to get guys that, come from the same place who will really fight for one another like that. Because that's what it calls for to win it, and special experience. That wasn't just some summer money tournament. Like, man, you locked in with somebody forever when the stakes are that high, and y'all did it.
man, hey, bro, I tell you what, like you said, it was totally different because you got all the emotions, all the feels, all the competitiveness, all the back and forth of a regular season, all in 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm saying I
Right.
can remember just you already know we ain't got to get into it
Yeah.
like that, but
Right.
we had some shit going, but it was yo, bro, like those 2 weeks, never forget it. Like you said, like everyone who was a part of that team is locked in forever just because of that experience and in those times that we shared. That was special, bro. No doubt about it.
Yeah, man. Between the 2 weeks playing and the week getting ready for it, like you said, it's like it feels like a season.
No
Like
doubt.
it's so exhausting because like one bad day and you going out sad. And
Facts.
it's like when you lose it and you had a caliber of team that we've had, if like losing it, you feel like you got robbed of something that was yours. You know what I'm saying? You feel like somebody took money out your pocket or food off your plate. Because when a Syracuse team comes in there, like when have we ever not been expected to win a game? I can't think of one. Yeah, I can't think of one game in that whole time of Boeheim's Army where Boeheim's Army hasn't been expected to win. And
Right.
when you got that much at stake, like when you lose, it's sickening, man. So to win that thing and get over the hump, and it really made me appreciate it this past year because you realize, like after you win, come back and lose, you realize, dang, like you appreciate it even more. Like that thing is really, really tough to win. And you gotta have some luck and timing on your side. Like
No
you know
doubt.
that.
No, no,
Yeah,
no
man.
doubt. No doubt, bro. That I mean,
Everything gotta fall right.
like you said, everything got to fall right. The pieces got to come together. Like we just had that year the combination of toughness, competitiveness, you know, and obviously skills at all the positions that we needed. But it is you, because bro, like we're only there for like 2-3 weeks together, so you really got to gel together quickly and find that little bit of chemistry quickly. And I think we really held our hat on, you know, getting defensive stops and rebounding the basketball.
Right.
The guys that we had, like it was no bullshit. Like we was ready to fight for anything. So that's, you have to
Yeah.
have that makeup of the team if you want to win it.
Right. Like, yeah, I mean, I think the best part about that is that's the one thing where other than winning it, there's not a lot at stake. Like how many guys are signing deals off the TBT or doing this or doing that? Like basically all you have to get out of it is winning it. Whereas any other basketball, it's a contract year or you're trying to get a scholarship offer. Like there's always something individual to you that can come at the expense of the whole operation. You know what I'm saying? Like if we don't win this thing, nobody gets anything. Like we're not signing deals off of this for real. Like we're not getting endorsements off of this for real. So that's what, you know, that's what makes it pure because man, obviously you want to play, you want to score, you want to be part of it. But once you win and you come back the next day, it's like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's 2 weeks. You might not play a lot. You might not like it. You might not like this guy or this guy. But if I said, hey, E, like, you're not really going to play that much, and it's a 40-game season over 7 months, that's a problem. But for 2 weeks, it's like, all right, man, some money is on the line. Like, I can do this for 2 weeks. So I remember there'd be some games I'm playing a lot, some games I'm not. And man, I'm on the sideline calling everything out, making sure everybody's guarding the right person. Like Malachi, you know, in his head, like, hey, man, snap out of it. Tyler Lott, like, I'm full, like, mental health coach on the sideline, like, telling you, like, yo, E, like, chill out. Like,
Right. Yeah.
you good. Because it's so intense, bro. And, like, we had so many alphas on that team that it's like, somebody gotta be the voice of reason in this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's good. You need dudes who are crazy because we had a team that crazy enough to know, like, no, we're not going without this one. Like, that's what was special about that team. If we had been if our team as a whole would have been any less crazy, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We had some dudes who was ready to go at you regardless of anything,
and
bro.
go at each other and anything in between. And that's what makes it beautiful because that's what people don't realize. Like everybody wants to win, but everybody wants to win their terms and their way. Like when you win, like, man, every game somebody was about to fight one another or do this and that. But you appreciate that so much more when you win because people talk about accountability. Like, you know, E, stop doing this, you know, get on you, tell you to do that. And it's personal and it doesn't work and y'all lose. Like the fact that dudes almost came to blows and dudes are cussing each other out and you do all that and you like, man, look at this bread we got to show for it. Everybody loves that way much more than just like, yeah, we got along great. It was all good. Like that really made me understand the value of winning and like the ugly part of what makes winning, you know?
Yeah, we had guys who, and like you said, who held each other accountable and weren't afraid to speak on that. You know what I'm saying? And we had the guys who didn't take it personal. Yeah, we gonna feel some type of way sometimes, but we worked through it. And guys understood at the end of the day, like, look, everybody gonna get that 90,000, regardless if you played 1 minute or if it was the MVP. We getting that same bag. So we came to that you know, our senses and worked it out, bro. But that was forever something that is going to be etched in my memory, bro. It was unbelievable.
Special stuff, man. Special stuff, man.
Yo, bro, last question. I'm going to get you up out of here. I always ask everyone on the podcast before they get off. You know, with you having that journey experience, you know, all the hard work that goes into making it to the college level, to the pro level, you know, getting paid to play basketball, something that you love to do, something that a lot of people wish they would be able to do, which is get paid to be doing something that they love, right? So we're blessed and we're lucky looking at it from that perspective. What advice do you give these kids out here, these younger kids, girls and boys, to be able to achieve that, who have dreams of playing in college or playing professionally? What are some of the things that they have to do, and what's some advice that you have for them going forward?
Yeah, I would say to just really prioritize what's important. And I think now, like, it's so much going on, so much influence, so much fluff and stuff that's not real, that you really have to sit back and figure out, all right, what do I want to be? And then all of your decisions, all your actions, how you carry yourself, your diet, anything, everything that you do should fall in line with what your end goal is. Like, I see so many people out here that they want to hoop and they too cool, or they want to be this, they want to be that, and it's like your actions and what you do on a day to day doesn't fall in line with that. Like I'm a firm believer of it's not a given, but if you really like put that effort, honest effort, looking in the mirror and figuring out what you are and what you aren't effort, like you can get what you want, but the influence and the being cool and doing this, that's not the way to get it. I always say, for basketball specifically, what is there that basketball can't get you? Like, what are guys like? They like cars, they like clothes, they like girls, they like a certain lifestyle, they like traveling, they like this and that. What of that can't be supplied if you take care of your basketball? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have all that. So like, if you're worried about the party, you're worried about the clothes, you're worried about this and that, that shouldn't be your priority. Just hoop at a high level. You'll get anything you want out of it. There's no fame and popularity and all that you can get at a higher level than when you hoop at a high level. Like, take care of what's important. You can get all that. But man, this basketball has, given me a great life. Like, anything you want out of that, you pick up that basketball and you really take it seriously, and you figure out what you can do to get to the next level each time. Like, you can do some things, so just concentrate on what's important. Look yourself in the mirror. Don't take things personal, and like anything that's said to you as constructive criticism, like sometimes it's true. Like, just take it for what it is.
No doubt, bro. Great advice. And like you said in the beginning, I think it's super important to be able to make that choice, make that decision to really go after it and attack what you want to do and what you want to be. So, bro, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, my last thing on that, man, is since when I came into Syracuse, like, I remember you and like G Mac and Hop in particular. I was like, man, the intensity on these guys, like how much it means to these guys. I remember I wanted to come in like, if I can get these guys where like they approve of me, like I'm good, because I know what y'all represent. Like, when I call y'all crazy, it's like the best compliment, because I know how much it means to y'all. Like, I know to the fact, like, this, y'all care a lot, and like y'all have a lot of emotion, a lot of drive towards this game. I just remember being in practice when like you were there, or like I was in G-Mac's group to start, and you know how he is. Like, I'm like, man, I gotta be on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would kill me for you or for G-Mac or Hop to be like, man, you don't want it, man. Like, you're messing around today. You're not taking this seriously, like, because I know y'all hate people like that.
Right.
Like, just don't take it seriously, messing around. So when I came in every day, like, I always, when I, even like TBT and stuff, like when you're in the gym, like, I got a certain level of like, I got to be on this because I know they are. And I know that they hate people who are not what they're on, and I just think it's great that like y'all are a little more like animated about it, but like we tick similarly, you know what I'm saying? And so I always appreciate that about you, like the way you handle yourself, like how you go about it. Like, I love that, man. Like, you've done a lot for me.
Well, I appreciate you, bro, and the respect is mutual because you're the same way. You go about it in a business-like manner, you go in the gym, you do what you're supposed to do. Like you said, you're organized, you're prioritizing what needs to get done. And that's why you've had the success that you had in basketball, and you will continue to have success in whatever you do, with the rest of your life. So, bro, man, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Like you said, I know it's been a little bit, so the invite finally came, and we got you on. And
Yeah, man.
again,
I
one of the
appreciate you,
greatest
man.
shooters of all time to come through Cuse, bro. And that's I'm not saying that lightly at all. That's a fact. So, and the stats prove it. So again, bro, appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can have you come on again at a later time.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Anytime, man.